Well, hello once again, everyone. I thought that I would actually start maybe a new segment. It's just kind of talking about whatever I think is interesting that's going on. I thought today, though, I might actually just talk about something that I've been noticing. It's like a trend that's going on. It's what I'm going to call musical overload. And what this is, and this isn't something that's popped up in the news or on the streams. It's just something that it's just a term that I've coined. You're on social media, you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, you're on TikTok, you're on Facebook. You're seeing all of this amazing stuff, all of these just amazing technical players, and you're just completely overloaded. And it just completely it runs the full gamut of emotions. Like you become interested, you become obsessed. Maybe after a period of time, you just are totally uninterested. It just kills your musical drive, everything. And you're probably wondering, well, what's going on? What we're really talking about is sensory overload. One of the problems, I guess, of modern life that we're kind of just becoming more and more aware of is we're inundated with messages. Feel this, do that, think of this, look at me, look at me, look at me. And I know I should say this because I'm one of the many, right? There's only so much information, I suppose, that the average human brain can really process. And when you take that into consideration and then you multiply it to the nth degree, you have a legion of virtuosos, or let's not even say virtuosos, but feigned virtuosos, some people that have practiced certain things and have become quite good at those things. And it's illusory to the point that everybody's achieved masterhood, like they've achieved, mastered the instrument or something after only a few years or something, right? But it's not really a mastering of music. It's just of those particular ideas or skill sets. Because of the way the internet and communication works these days, it's kind of difficult to disentangle the two things. And I'm not trying to throw a wet blanket over everything. It's just it's a little bit of philosophical segment, just kind of talking about on the nature of this situation, kind of informally speaking to you here. At what point do we pull back? Yeah, there's controversy in the musical community about this because some people this pushes some people to go straight towards traditionalism. They are just like, I'm dropping all of this. I'm going back to tube amps, good tone, and blues licks, that kind of stuff. I don't need this. I'm trying to become a robot type thing, that's going on. And that's understandable. And then the opposite could be true too. Some people are they're like fully embrace the modernity of the situation. So, is there any one true answer? And I would have to say there's not. But this brings in an interesting point is, what is all of this? I think really what we're talking about is how to maintain your mental health and stability in the midst of all of this chaos. Because a lot of people are losing their minds, and you're seeing it unfold in real time. Because, the circumstances being what they are, maybe they've worked their entire life at something, and then it almost becomes outmoded overnight. Outmoded in the sense of trends, but not in terms of just pure musical expression or enjoyment. Because there's the rub. Is disregarding everything that doesn't fit that mold is going to prevail, or if eventually some type of equilibrium is established with very, very unnatural arrangement for everyone to be conform into this one thing, and let's all look the same, play the same, But the tendency when you have aggregation of popularity and data and is tending towards that. So I've also been calling it the Instagram effect, and I love Instagram. It's a good place to go get inspiration. There's just a ton of crazy monster players, if you've built your feed up that way. But there are some very interesting questions that we should ask ourselves. I guess, how much is enough? I guess I'm going to maybe catch some flack for saying this, but is any of this being cheapened? What I mean by that is, it's just like supply and demand. There's like an overwhelming glut of that out there. But at some level, I just have to think, what exactly is it that we're doing? I mean, I guess if it's just for entertainment value, that's one thing. That's fine, obviously. That's the nature of what we're doing on one level anyway. But on an artistic level, what is it exactly that's happening? Is the future of music really going to be just 30-second to 1 minute long clips of somebody having practiced this idea for several hours? And it very well could be, I suppose. I was thinking about this myself, like I composed that jingle you heard on the intro of this video. I guess we're really writing jingles now. Like, you see people pulling away from longer form content en masse. But that may not stay that way. I suspect that the possibilities, the basic rung of possibilities will be exhausted after a time, and then we'll revert back to writing and producing songs and records, and that, it'll be more intricate in that particular sense. I mean, bands are still doing this stuff, obviously. It's just that, the trend is within the genres, is like, if it's rock, it's got to be over the top, like really like big reverbs and like sort of the style. It reminds me of the stuff that was going on in the late 80s. It's an exact parallel to it, except it's done with computer technology and plugins. But it's essentially the same thing as what was going on in the late 80s. The only difference is that the tone is darker. What I mean is everything sounds a little more evil, which is a reflection of the socioeconomic times that we live in. It became apparent to me at some point, it's like, as we pile on more generations, that are we going to just run into a situation where like everybody is being trumped every minute to minute to minute to minute, and it's just this grudge match of musicianship. And that is very entertaining, and it can be, it can help build your chops and knowledge. But I wouldn't say that it's the essence of music or art. It's kind of gymnastics, it's like that kind of a thing. It's not really a cerebrally artistic thing per se. It could be. But this is, there's a famous quote, where it says like the world need not end in, war or something like that, but maybe it could end in nostalgia, or it could end in paperwork. I think about this too. So it's kind of like paperwork. And also, the nostalgia cycles are getting tighter and tighter and tighter, to where an artist emerges in the spring of this year or something, and then by the end of next year, they've released a greatest hits album. So yeah, and again, this plays back into the mental health and stability and of modern life as a musician, it's kind of hard to not start feeling like, what am I doing? Music doesn't exist in a vacuum. So it is something, like Miles Davis called it social music. And he was saying that a long time before the internet and the social media came along. And what did he mean by that? I think what he meant by that on a fundamental level is that the importance or the hipness of what we're doing has something to do with how it relates to everyone on a social level. Nevertheless, I will say that, instrument sales should be absolutely booming right now. I have not checked the statistics, but they should be through the roof, because one of the side effects of all of this that's going on is that I feel like more and more and more people are being pushed to learn music or an instrument, particularly guitar. And that is very interesting. I don't know if, a long time ago I was thinking that if there were more musicians, there'd be greater intelligence comprehension. Maybe everyone would just be more intelligent. And it would improve things. But I don't know. Like, it's kind of like giving, a bunch of people in a lunatic asylum like a weapon, almost. Maybe that's not what's happening. I think the point ultimately is that we have to avoid toxicity. That's kind of what has grown out of all this. The music culture itself has started to become very toxic, hateful. Just people are like, I can come up with the best insult, so therefore my musical abilities are better than X person's, which is patently not true, obviously. And I think it's important to step back and look at yourself. Now, some people can go through this and be like a soulless NPC, where they're just like, I do not care. I must be number one. I must have the best insult. I played the fastest scale, there's no changing that. Unfortunately, some people are just mean-natured, toxic NPCs like that, and bitter about everything in life, maybe. Other stuff, maybe not even music-related, at a certain point, and look at yourself and kind of say, do I really want to be like this, petty, garbage person that's just like... And I don't mean trash collectors. I mean, like a person that's, oh my God, all I do is just shit all over everyone and everything. Look at my page or whatever, do you really want it to, in the long term, looking back on yourself, do you get enjoyment out of this? Is it something that it just tickles your fancy? Oh my God, it's so much fun to do that kind of stuff. If I don't like it, I don't check it out and I don't talk about it. You know what I mean? I don't go out of my way to point out how terrible this thing is, or make comments about, I hate that thing or whatever it is. It's not of interest to me. I'm just going to go towards the other side of just like, what is it that I want to do or I like, or I'm trying to grow in my mind artistically. It's like you've conditioned yourself to accept all those negative emotions. And now when you look at the shape of a guitar, or you hear it or touch the strings, all that stuff comes flooding back. So just a little bit of potential psychological help there. You should give it a shot yourself and tell me what you think. See if it helps at all. Well, anyway, hope you've enjoyed this little segment. I'm going to try to do these every time I have some kind of a idea or to talk about, or there's some news, or there's an interesting product or whatever, just kind of a semi-daily segment, maybe, if it's somewhat successful or not. But yep, peace. Tune in next time.